Okay, Adam, if you don't mind, could you pass this intro for David Gilmour over to Adam from Counting Crows? And can you introduce now, please, Adam, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd?
Absolutely. Joining us now is one of Britain's most gifted guitarists, whose finesse on the fretboard has earned him a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This charitable chap is a certified CBE and has penned some of prog rock's biggest worldwide hits. Here to tell us more about Pink Floyd's new album, The Endless River, is the dexterous and delightful David Gilmour.
David Gilmour. Thank you, Adam. Good morning, David.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm pretty well, all things considered.
How was that live music for you as you wandered in?
Wasn't it?
They're brilliant,
that's really Washington Square. My parents used to live in Washington Square.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, are they American? Your parents American, or did they move over there?
They moved over there.
Okay, where were you born?
Cambridge.
Okay, so they managed to get back in time for that?
Yeah. No, they were there after that.
Oh, were they? Okay.
They left me destitute when I was about 18.
What did your mum and dad do then? What was their bag in life?
My dad was a teacher at Cambridge University.
Right, okay.
In genetics and zoology.
And your mum? A mum?
She was a teacher briefly, and she became a film editor.
Did she really?
Later, yeah.
What did she work on?
She worked at the BBC for a while.
Did you? God bless her. Thank you.
She worked on Junior Points of View, I think.
What a fine programme. I remember it well. Okay, so David, you're here. You're talking about a brand new Pink Floyd album. When does this happen? Not very often, it has to be said anymore. Tell us how this one came about, why now, and where's it from?
Well, we recorded our last Pink Floyd album, previous one, Division Bell, in 1994. I got to know each other a little bit again before that, because we hadn't seen each other for quite a while, and out of all those jam sessions and things, we have devised this album. It's been, as you say, a long, long time.
1994?
1994, yes.
Okay,
that's when that one came out.
So 20 years on. So why is it special? Is it as much of a work of art as the other ones have been in the past, would you say?
It's a work of art. It's slightly different. It's almost all instrumental. You've been playing the one song on it a few times. And it's... I've been working on a solo album, actually, and I've had other keyboard players playing on that recently, and thinking, God, I wish our Rick was still around to help me out on all that. And it struck me that we should go back and listen to all the music that was left over from those earlier sessions, because it's always been hanging around in my mind that we would get to using them one day. So this seemed like a good moment. And
for people who don't know, because there will be lots of people who don't know, the evolution of Pink Floyd, and Rick Wright, who you're talking about, who's no longer with us, but was obviously around then, died in 2008. Yeah, 2008. Just tell us about Pink Floyd in the 60s, because you weren't in the band originally. Just give people a sort of fool's guide, a blagger's guide to Pink Floyd, if you don't mind.
Well, yes, their first, they were signed in 1967. The first record came out, was called Arnold Lane, about a chap who stole women's clothing from washing lines, which was banned by the BBC.
Outrageous.
And that was written by Syd Barrett, who was my friend and was the sort of leading light of the band, who slightly overcooked things, you could say, and had to leave, and they asked me to join in his place in 1968, January 68, when I was 21.
How did that feel?
It felt great. I felt they needed some work. They needed a bit of help, so they were lucky to get me.
No, not dissimilar. Genesis said the same, because they're out and about doing stuff at the moment. They said the same thing about the arrival of Phil Collins. They needed somebody to drive the band, and he was the difference. He made the difference.
Well, I don't know if I made that much difference, but yeah, I made a difference. Yeah.
I think you might have done, actually. I think you've been very modest.
Anyway, it's worked out okay.
But, even now, the Mercury Music Prize was awarded night before last to a band from Glasgow called Young Fathers. And we played one of their songs, and it was so different, and coming up with a different sound must be so difficult, like artists coming up with a different look and actors coming up with a different bent on or take on how to perform certain roles. Was anybody in the 60s doing anything at all like Pink Floyd at the time?
Not that I can think of. I mean, there were tons of little influences from all sorts of progressive people, all over the world that influenced it a bit. But I think mostly it's just a kind of luck that people have different sounds that they gravitate towards, and when those things combine together, it makes us a particular sound that is the sound of that band. And in our case, it's it's unmistakable, I suppose you'd say.
And what's your favourite phase looking back at Pink Floyd? When do you think you were? When did you enjoy it most, or what did you think their zenith was?
Well, commonly accepted is that Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here sort of period was our finest hour, but I've had tons of other moments that were just as exciting and just as great. The Division Bell album, when that came out in '94, was a real high. We had a tour through that year that was just a joy to do.
Okay,
lots of them.
If you had to throw one of them out of a balloon, Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here, which would go first?
Dark Side of the Moon would plummet. I slightly prefer Wish You Were Here.
But without Dark Side of the Moon, you wouldn't have had Wish You Were Here, so that's
right.
That's slightly unfair, isn't it? But
yes,
anyway,
well then you're making me destroy my whole career.
I apologise. I won't do that anymore. All right, so this is another world exclusive. This is Pink Floyd, and this is Anacina. Tell us about this, please.
This is a piece of music that I think it was not brand new in 1993 when it was recorded. It was a piece of piano music that we call the hymn for some reason, and we recently got this Israeli chap, Gilad Atzmon, in to play clarinet and saxophone on it, which he does very well. It makes it much more Eastern, much more sort of Middle Eastern, I suppose you'd say.
Okay,
so I looked up hymns and that sort of thing in Turkish for some reason, and came up with the word Anacina, which is in memory of, which seemed to fit in more than one way.
Perfect. All right, from 20 years ago right till now.